What's up, guys? My name's Owen, and welcome back to the Bent Fender podcast. And in this one, I will be reviewing the Austria Grand Prix. So, in this one, it started out with sprint qualifying, which is different from regular qualifying. After the first couple qualifyings, there's a sprint race where whatever place you get in is the place you start in the actual race. So, with that being said, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc start on the front row. Alonso did not start since he had a mechanical and electrical issue. Before the start of the race, Zhou Guan Yu stopped on the track, but he got going again, but he had to start from the pit rather than in the spot he qualified in. And in the qualifying, Verstappen leads. Then Pierre Gasly gets into Hamilton, who spins going into turn one. Then Albon got a 5-second penalty for forcing someone off the track. And then a little while later, Albon gets into Sebastian Vettel, who gets into the gravel. Then, nearing the end of the qualifying, it was Hamilton and Schumacher battling for the final points position, which the points were 1st to 8th. So, not 1st to 10th. And then Tsunoda got a black and white flag for track limits, which a lot of people in the main race ended up getting penalties for track limits, which, if I'm being honest, I think they were a little strict on the track limits. From what I saw, the cars were just barely going on to the green off like turn 10, which I think that's where everyone was going off. They were barely going onto the green, which when it goes from like the track to the red and white curb to the green and white thing to the green, which is all within like a tire width, I think that's a little harsh. But I'm not a marshal, and I don't know what I'm saying. So at the end of qualifying, Verstappen won, followed by Leclerc, Sainz, and then the rest of the people in the points were Russell, Perez, Ocon, Magnussen, and Hamilton. And then for the rest of the field, it goes Schumacher, Bottas, Norris, Ricciardo, Stroll, Zhou Guan Yu, Gasly, Albon, Tsunoda, Latifi. Then probably one of the most experienced back rows I've ever seen in Vettel and Alonso. Like, that's a crazy back row. Now, getting into the main race. Bottas starts last after he changed his power unit. So he drops from like 10th on the grid to dead last. Then on the start, Verstappen leads. Then Russell and Perez make contact going into one of the corners. Russell was on the inside. Perez was trying to make the move on the outside. A little while later, there was a 9-car DRS train going on from 9th down. So basically, like 9th place to 18th. All the cars were basically within a second of each other. And then Russell ended up getting a 5-second penalty for causing a collision, which, if I'm being honest, I do not agree with that assessment, because where was Russell going to go? He was on the corner and Perez came into him. Where was he going to go? Like, I think that was the wrong decision. And which basically ruined Russell's day for most of the race. So after that, Leclerc takes the lead. And then Russell comes into the pit to serve his penalty. He drops from 4th to 19th. Then Verstappen pits, and he ends up dropping from like 2nd to 8th. Then Hamilton had an amazing battle with both the Haas cars for a while. He ends up getting past both of them within a lap. Then the first warning for track limits goes to Perez, who is basically limping around in dead last, probably a couple laps down at this point. Then after that, there was a great 4-car battle for 6th between Ocon, Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, and Albon. And then I think, like, right after that, there was a 5-car battle between, I think, from Alonso to somewhere else. I forget at this point. After that, Perez has to retires from the race. He had way too much damage on his car. Then Sainz takes the lead as Leclerc pits. Verstappen takes the lead as Sainz pits. Gasly gets a 5-second time penalty for track limits. Then Leclerc takes the lead. Both Norris and Zhou Guanyu also get 5-second time penalties. Then Gasly hits for Vettel, who spins. No caution, though. Then Gasly gets a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. This one I agree with, because Vettel gave Gasly enough space, and Gasly just went in. Gasly just came down on him. Or no, it was the other way around. Yeah. Then Sainz takes the lead as Leclerc pits again. Same thing with Verstappen with Sainz. Then Latifi retired from this race. I think it was a mechanical issue that the broadcast said, but not 100% sure. Then Leclerc retakes the lead. And then Sainz was battling with Verstappen for 2nd. And then Sainz loses an engine and literally blows up and goes up in flames. And he did try and stop, but he stopped on a kind of a slope. And whenever he released his foot from the gas to try and get out, the car would start to reverse back. So luckily there was a marshal there to throw something underneath the car and get the fire out, which was almost getting to Sainz at this point. So both of them are okay. Sainz was just pissed that he had such a great car and his engine decided to say, you know what? No, you're not finishing this race. And that was the first safety car of the race. Well, the first and only one. Then Vettel gets a 5-second time penalty for track limits, which I think is like the 5th or 6th person to get a time penalty for track limits today. So it's yeah, 4th or 5th. And then after that was the end of the race, and Leclerc wins, followed by Verstappen. Then Hamilton finishes out the podium. Then behind that was George Russell and Ocon. And those were the only 5 drivers to finish on the lead lap. And the rest of the top 10 was Schumacher, who finishes in the points in back-to-back races, which, good for him. Then after that was Norris, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Albon, and then Bottas after that. And after this race, this was the official halfway point of the F1 season. So, all in all, this was a great race with some amazing battles going on all over the track, as well as some drama with the Ferrari. Also, I didn't mention this, but in the final 10 laps of the race, something got in between Leclerc's throttle, so it wouldn't go all the way. When he lifted, it wouldn't go all the way up. I think it would stay at about like 15 to 20% throttle. So something must have gotten stuck in the top part of the throttle when he lifts. So that was scary for him, but he managed to win, so good for him. But honestly, I'm going to rate this race probably an 8 out of 10. It was an amazing race. I loved it. So, join me in 2 weeks when I review the French Grand Prix. So, please remember to like and subscribe, as well as follow me on Instagram at FanRantan. And if you like what I do, consider supporting me on Patreon at FanRantan. Nope, that's my main channel. Well, go subscribe to that too. And also go subscribe to my other channel, being a D&D channel where me and my friends play D&D. That's called Drunkards and Dumbasses. Both those links will be in the description. Also, if you want to support me, go check out that Patreon. And please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.